Hey y'all, Michelle here from Poppies. I wanted to show you how to use the grid that is in your kit for your borders. So this is Tensisters Easy Piecing Grid on point so that you can do the borders for your beautiful Sewing Sewcial quilt kit that you have. Unless you have a throw size, and then the throw size does not have these borders. So with this, you've got at least 4 panels in there, and there are instructions in there, so you can follow those instructions, but I'm a visual person, so I wanted to show you. So here's this. It does have some markings on it. Do you guys see the checkerboard? It's on point. Okay, so you're gonna, one side's rougher than the other side. One side feels very soft, the other side a little rough, not too much. That's the glue side. So you want to put the glue side up, and I can still see, it might be hard to see on camera, but I can still see that. So I'm going to take my squares and I'm going to pretend like I'm doing a chevron, and I am going to, you have these 2.5 inch already cut for you in your kit. And we are going to do, you can do whatever design you want using this, but I'm just going to show you kind of what we did. So you're just putting these squares pretty centered in that. They're not necessarily, you don't want them overlapping. You want them kind of in the center. They don't quite go to the edge on purpose. And then for these out here, you can either cut this in half, or you can put it on there like that. I didn't cut any in half, so I'm gonna put them on there. I mean, I would recommend cutting them in half because then you'll save some. But we gave you plenty. We really gave you a lot. And then so for the chevron, you would do 1 row like that. And then you do a whole row of a color. And you're not going to use the whole length, but it was too much to get 2 on 1 length. So we had to give you an individual one for each. You do want to go above a little bit. So we're going to fill in white up here. And I would fill it in probably at least that many squares above so that you can kind of we made this point kind of even with the top of where the cross grid came across. And so all of this is just going to get filled in with boring white. So sad, but it is what it is. So I'm just filling in. And then we are going to, sorry, I'm losing this. And then same thing here where you could cut in half and use half of one on each side. And then I found, the first time I did these, when I was designing this, I put the colors all together and I found it to be too concentrated. It didn't look right with the quilt itself because the quilt itself has the white strips in between. So you can do it, again, however you want. You can make diamonds, you could do flowers. I mean, you guys can do whatever you want. Show some, do some creative stuff. It's all good, it's all yours. But I am just going to take it to this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew and then show you the next part as well. So I'm just going to do a little bit of it. I'm not going to do the whole thing because you guys don't want to sit here and watch. And my Laura Star is boiling the water for me right now, if you guys can hear that. Thank you, Laura Star. Should have left the music on, huh? All right, that, I feel like I'm making food or something. I don't know. Making sandwiches where you're laying down different slices. That one's not quite right. You don't want to do this. Oh, it's telling me I need water. Are you kidding me? Okay, I'm gonna pause for a second and make Miss Laura Star happy, and I will come back and show you how I press this. Okay, I'm back. So so you've got this. This does have glue on it, right? So you want to protect your iron, unless you like cleaning your iron. I don't. So you want like an applique pressing sheet, non-stick. So that's what I have here. This is the Gypsy brand of no stick applique sheet. And it's just really lovely. We just got these in and they're really $15, so really nice. And then I'm just going to press. So this is instead of, you could do this by sewing all of those little squares together, one at a time in rows, and then sewing your rows together, but this is so much quicker. And so we're just pressing them down to this grid stuff. We're gonna check and see if I got it enough. Yeah, looks pretty good. Oh, there's one that's there. We'll do that again. So this is, if you'll zoom in on this, Michael, this one's a little bit off, but it's gonna be okay in my 1/4 inch seam. I mean, you can pull them back off again, but it's really gonna be okay. So I moved that one somehow. I press just a little bit more down here. And then I'm gonna go sew the first round. Sure, I've got a good press up here. Okay. See. Make sure nothing's falling off. Nothing's falling off. That one's a little loose, but that's okay. So when I sew, I'm gonna actually go like this and do right sides together. You've got the fusible on the back side. So I pulled this right sides together and I'm gonna sew a 1/4 inch seam. And then I'm gonna take, that one's gonna be sewn, right? I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna sew a 1/4 inch seam along this line. So you've got that line there. And then I'm gonna fold this together. And again, I'm gonna sew a 1/4 inch seam. So I'm gonna go do that and I will be back in a flash. Okay, so I don't know, because I sewed with white thread, you can't really see. Oh, there we go, that side. So I sewed a 1/4 inch along the same side. And then you are going to take and snip with your snip scissors close to, down to the, don't snip through your sewing line, please. You're gonna snip along that dotted line, and it's real easy because it's just, in the most places, except if you don't put your square on right, it's just the interfacing that you're snipping. So you're gonna snip that, and then you're gonna go the opposite way. So I sewed these lines this way, right? So now I'm gonna sew the other way. So I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna start from the top again. And I am going to do this. Now, you can sit there and press all of these. You could go and press, I would do opposite, right? So you're going to press this row this way, this row this way, the next row this way. Do you see how that works? So that then you can nest your seams. I find it's not necessary, that I can do it as I'm sewing and then come back and do a really good press at the end. But if you're more comfortable, then you would press one row one way, see that one's going that way, and then this, the opposite way, okay? I do it by finger. See how I can do that, and it just wants to lay like that. So as I'm sewing, I'm gonna make sure that my things stay turned like that. And then I'm just gonna keep going. So you're just gonna sew, again now, a 1/4 inch, but you want those to nest so that it'll look nicer on the other side. So you just, as you go, make sure they're nesting, or sit and press all of those. So I'm going to go do that real quick, and then I'll show you the final step, which is just pressing it really well to get it. I mean, it's really, really quick this way, you guys. So I'll be back in a second in a flash. Don't do like I did and not like square yourself out. Like always come where you've got like a square end. So this end's a little wonky because of that. But so I went across and I did the other, and you see how my seams go each way. So they're gonna lay just like nice and flatter. And then you want to press at this point. And I would still use, really shouldn't have to, but since I'm pressing from the back side and the glue is on the front side, even though, okay, so here it is, see? So, I mean, literally in seconds, I'm sewing together all of these squares of fabric. But the glue shouldn't come through, but I just always like to protect my surfaces. So since the glue side, plus down here, there's still glue. So I'm going to put it, you can do it either way. I like to see these. So I'm going to put it this way first. And I'm just going to press, not iron, right? So I'm just going to give it a good press. I'm going to give it a little bit of this so that it kind of flattens itself out. But if you get your seams going each way, like I did, this one, just slide it one into it. There we go. Press. I'm doing this much faster than you guys probably will. That one actually needs to press this way. Come on, friend. There we go. If you have a lower star, give it a little steam that way. It'll press even flatter. And I'm just pushing all my seams. That way you can do opposites, you can do whatever. It doesn't matter with the way you're putting it together because you don't have seams coming up against it. Now you have to be really, really careful if you have a nonstick sheet underneath and you do have a steam iron because it is bouncing off. So you can scald yourself, so, or your son. So be careful. And you see how this one wants to go that way? Okay, I'm gonna let it go that way. And some of that's because of how I sewed it down there. It doesn't really matter as long as I'm getting them going, you know, opposite ways along. And then I'm gonna turn it over and give it one more press this way. Don't use steam when you're on the side of this. All it'll do is just bounce the water off and probably bounce in your face. Just get it, all I'm doing is just getting it nice and flat. And voila! So you've got this, and then by adding extra up here, when you go to add it in, you only need to, we gave you border fabric, but we didn't cut your width of your border fabric because some people are going to want to trim this more than others. So you can trim this down as narrow or as wide as you want. 8.5, I believe, is what it is as the grid. But you could make it 8 if you wanted to that, or, you know, however you want to do. So we didn't, that's the one thing we didn't cut in your kits was your border strips that go with this. So you're going to take this and you're going to pretend like there's chevrons all the way down. Michael, can you follow me? So here's our sample. So if you come in close, Michael, you can see where it's the 2.5 inch squares, not that close. 2.5 inch squares. From further away, once it gets quilted, you can't even tell. But if you do this, like we started, see the tip of the pink up there? We lined it up as close as we could with the orange. And so if you do enough here, that gives you that wiggle room there and you don't have to put. And then you will cut strips as wide as what you end up finishing this at to attach to it. And then you'll measure, you know, in your 3 places, the length that you need to be at once you have these 2 attached to each other. And then you'll be done until you get it quilted, and then you have to bind it. So I hope this is helpful. If you guys have any questions at all, just let us know. Thanks so much. Bye, y'all.